Okay, in the good tradition of keeping on time, it's my great pleasure I see there are just 2 people entered the room, so if you just give us maybe 1 minute for them to join as well. It's my great pleasure to welcome you all. My name is Driekus Kriek. I am the Dean of the IEDC-Bled School of Management, which represents the, let's call it the formal part of the IEDC. Specifically today, I am very happy to welcome you also as the director of the doctoral programs. Your interest in specific today relates to the program that we have, the DBA, and I will share a few things to you about the DBA, and towards the end, I will give opportunity to you to have some questions and also to hear something from the participant or one of our participants. For now, maybe by way of introduction, let me share with you where the DBA fits into some of what we do at the IEDC. I think the most prominent thing to talk about is the fact that the IEDC is committed to lifelong learning, and that therefore the DBA fits in the end as a terminal degree, final degree, because oftentimes we find that people who have completed some of our programs, specifically an executive MBA, after a while wants to revisit the school, wants to rethink about their career and where they are going. And the DBA fits exactly into that space. So why doing a DBA at the IEDC in particular? First of all, it is a transformational experience. It is something that relates to who you are. It builds also your identity as a leader and helps you to feel this sense of where you are in terms of your career. It's also something that relates very much to the world of business. We'll talk a little bit more about the curricula just shortly, but most specifically, it gives you a chance to be in contact with the real world experience and not necessarily something that is focused only or exclusively on the theoretical and the theoretical application of academic work to business. It's also, of course, a learning experience, but as with the other programs of the school, we try to connect with people from all parts of the world. We people in Europe as lecturers, Africa, people in America as lecturers. We try to build a network as broad as what it is to help connect what we do also with the exceptional learning experience that we offer. And of course, it also brings a network of people who shared in the experience and also people who connect with the same experience of having completed a doctoral degree. The IEDC has 2 international accreditations. One, the International Quality Accreditation from Siemens, which is an institutional one. But then the one at the bottom is the one that is most relevant to the DBA as well, and that is the AMBA accreditation. The Association of MBAs is probably the most prestigious accreditation body of MBAs, and they also have an open accreditation part for schools that want to have their DBAs accredited. And across the world, there are only 11 schools who have AMBA DBA accreditation, of which we are one. Who are some of the participants? They are people who are senior executives, most of them with international experience, and who bring with them this wealth of business and real world experience into an academic space. We have, when we say senior executives, all the way into presidents of boards, CEOs, people who work on the top level of the world of business. And also importantly for our DBA, and also that's how it connects with AMBA, is that it connects also with our PhD program that has run for 10 years, and for specific reasons we have started to focus on the DBA, and hopefully we will talk about that a little bit later. So why important to know that these are people with experience? Because that's exactly the space that give the opportunity to, from real world experience, from practice, to move into innovative research, and then to help to disseminate that, to know that it is available, and also put it into other spectra. Talking about the PhD at the DBA at the business school specifically, we have realized that the DBA is aligned with what the ethos and the focus of the school is a whole lot more directly than a PhD. Specifically because the whole ethos of the school is on application, on real world impact, on being relevant, and of making a change into the world of business. That may be the case in some PhDs, but it's seldom the case. So we rather opted to make this as a logical link from our MBA into our DBA, and therefore it is probably necessary just to talk a little bit about the difference between a PhD and an MBA. The first one, and this is of course not mutually exclusive categories, you can fit it in the way in which you feel and understand it also from your perspective. A DBA primarily builds on management and work experience, while a PhD is that logical final step of an academic experience. So it's more of an educational route, while a DBA offers more of a professional route or an application route. So the focus is so much more on work and work experience. Where it is in a PhD case, a focus primarily to prepare you for an academic career. That's the nature of what the PhD does. It helps you to offer and enter into an academic career, and a DBA focuses on career growth, personal development, individual legacy, things related to what you have experienced and what you've done, or how you would like to set yourself up for a future career or not. That's these two elements are the main difference, to my mind, about the difference between a DBA and a PhD. I remember very well, I was just starting off in academia and somebody asked me, have you started your PhD or not? And I said, yes. And the answer was, please remember, that's the labor union ticket. So a PhD for academia is important. For people focusing on different areas, a DBA is much more appropriate. As what I said, it is about what it is that you would like to do. A DBA allows for a whole lot more freedom to study something, to write a thesis on something that is more personal, something about you and your career, something you experienced, maybe something that you did or what you participated in. While in a PhD, there is a whole lot more stricter focus in terms of what is allowed to make a thesis, and it's often more with an institutional focus. A DBA allows for opportunity into business, allows for opportunity into teaching, adjunct faculty, working as consultants, building your own career around the DBA. But compare that to a PhD that is mostly focused to get you into academic positions. Already mentioned that the first part is much more applied when you do the DBA. The thesis is focused on applied research, while PhD much more academic and much more theoretical. So why the IEDC DBA? Because we maximize or optimize the benefit of what the DBA brings compared to what a PhD brings. To what degree do I say this? Basically, we offer a degree on a doctoral or a terminal level. So it's a level as high as you get. The academic quality is as rigorous as what you get, but the nature of the work is slightly different to allow that to be more practical, and more importantly, to allow that also to be much more focused on your own career. So for a DBA, it allows you to do something that you have been involved with, to write about, say, for instance, a change that you facilitated in your company, or maybe something related to a change in strategy that you experienced or what you propose. That's easy for you to do as part of a DBA, but completely difficult to do from a PhD, where you may have to have other cases or other examples, and they may be your opposition. And because you're in a business position, they may not allow you access to that. So it optimizes the fact that you are already with your hands onto very handy data, and it allows us to shape that into a thesis or a PhD. Maybe something quickly about the program layout, what we do on as part of our DBA. It is no less work than what the PhD work would require in terms of the rigor. It's work that you can proudly leave and say that I've done work on a doctoral level. I've read sufficient academic articles. I've applied doctoral research methodology on a doctoral level, and therefore I can easily hold my own in any academic environment. The work, the most of the academic work, coursework, is done in the first 2 years. It's split into some compulsory modules, and then also later on some research work and electives. And the third and the fourth years of the study are dedicated to writing your research, getting the data, and completing all the work that is necessary to do the defense of your dissertation. Maybe also just in terms of this third and the fourth year, oftentimes in PhD programs, you would have the requirement that you need to publish an academic article in an academic journal. On the DBA level, that research output that is required is not necessarily an accredited or academic journal that is focused merely on academia. We allow that also to be something that is more of an application manual, a case that is written, or something that relates to your own personal experience. A book could even fit into that, or a spin-off of your thesis as a book that could easily be part of a research output. You, of course, work with mentors. We try to connect you with people who are experts in the field, but also people who have an interest in that you are interested in. Because what we want is we want somebody who is keen in having you as a student, and also work with you to make sure that you are able to complete your thesis. As I mentioned, we have in year one, we have 4 compulsory courses. qualitative research, leadership studies, and quantitative research. By the way, there is one that needs to be added there, and that is also strategy. And then in course in the year 2, we have academic writing as a compulsory study. That's mainly to help you to provide the first draft of your research proposal. Because the first draft of your research proposal, what you will then have as an output of academic writing, that allows you to have a document that we can take to a potential mentor or supervisor. And then you also have an elective. The elective is often called contemporary issues in management and leadership. We often suggest that that's an elective that most people want, merely because that's broad for us to align that with the need of the people in the class in terms of what the elective is. And then, as I mentioned, there are a few research seminars in years 3 and 4, and you write your dissertation. For this year, we have, and that's also different than what the PhD is in terms of a PhD that normally has a single intake per year. We allow for 2 intakes. Now, because of this year in particular, there was just a move, the schedule. That was why the strategy was also out of the link there. We would have 3 intakes. There would be one in May. We will allow people to join qualitative research in May. Then in September, then as what is per normal, the first semester, and then in January again as per semester. So basically what I'm saying, that in the main, normally we have 2 intakes, one in January, one in September. But this year there is also one in May because one of the classes moved towards last year. These are some of the people who are involved in our PhD. Nina Bandel, Slovene, but working at the University of California. Albrecht Fritsche, responsible for research methodology. Catherine Müslein, enormously well known. Actually, there you see 2 names, Professor Peter McKiernan and Professor Catherine Müslein. Both of them have served as presidents, are actually currently honorary presidents of EURAM, the European Association of Management. Professor Bloy has been coming to the school for 20 years, teaching on the PhD, MBA, various programs, also in programs related to this, to Siemens. So they are all from various parts of the world and also very seasoned and well-recognized academics. The process, always very nice to have a chat with you first, just get some of your ideas, but formally, we need to have a copy of your master's in Slovene, master's or MBA degrees, and it should be in Slovene or in English. 3 letters of recommendation and a preliminary research proposal. Now, this is not something that is academic of any note. It is something to the point of 2 or 3 pages, kind of like a research proposal, merely for us to have an idea about whether your interest in getting into the program is aligned with what the program offers. If you were to say that you are completely hooked on how to develop applications for Bitcoin cryptocurrencies somewhere in very academic or computer program, you want to write your DBA about that, we may say to you, our focus of our program is strategy and leadership, and that's where the emphasis should lie. So we help you also to understand whether this program and your intent has got that fit that is required to complete a PhD as well. Finally, we also allow, through the program, get opportunity to be part of the alumni network of the IEDC. and it is something just to keep in mind. It is a privilege because it is already you who are privileged just to be in the position to do that intellectually. But it is a privilege also to take what you have experienced and allow that for greater dissemination. It's a responsibility to those of you who support you physically, formally, financially, but also through emotionally around those evenings of writing thesis and preparing for classes. And it is a contribution to business, to science, to practice, and it allows you to leave a legacy. So that basically the short introduction. We will allow for questions, but I wondered if it's not maybe first, let me just stop sharing so that I can see all of you here. Maybe before we go to questions, if I can give opportunity to, first of all, to welcome Edward Varda. You see him there on your screen if you have all of the participants open. Edward is towards the end of the coursework already. He is CEO of Unconditional, very large Croatian business. He's also the owner thereof in the pet food, pet consumables, pet experience. I think to make it broader, Edward, business, you can explain a little bit more. And it's a great pleasure to say thank you to you for joining us, and also maybe from your side a word or two, and then we can take questions. And Edward, you are also welcome to join in answering if you don't mind.
Thank you, Dricus, for the kind words. I hope I'm greeting some of future colleagues on DBA level. I do run a business in Croatia, Slovenia, and Serbia with approximately 300 employees. And after finishing my executive MBA already in 2010, this presented a good opportunity to build on the knowledge and expand the reach of the knowledge I have. To be honest, it's tough. Some of the subjects and the readings are demanding, and you should not. For me, it was much harder than MBA, but the individual approach and small working classes, groups, and the discussions in which you engage together with the various professors really helps you to advance your knowledge and understanding. But you need to be cautious with regards to your available time. The school is supportive, giving you the resources in order to complete what you need to complete, having the understanding for the deadlines, etc., etc. But you do need to work. It will not get done by itself. So, I mean, 5 classes after me. You need to really consider what is your life planning and business planning in 2-3 years ahead of you. I wouldn't take the decision lightly.
Okay, thanks, Edward. Thank you very much. Of course, and there's a good reason for that. It is something to do with the fact that it is about quality. It is about allowing you to stand tall and to say that I completed something on a doctoral level, and ultimately also to be comfortable with that identity that I am a scholar and I am a practitioner combined. And those 2 elements is certainly part of what we do on the DBA, is to combine them to allow you to stand tall.
Dricus, if I may jump in, there is a huge jump or a difference between university, MBA, and the gap is smaller there versus going from an MBA to DBA. The academic approach, the expectation from the professor in terms of collaborative, constructive engagement, discussion, understanding what the topic is about, understanding the academic framework in general, especially if you come from a business like I do, it's on a different level. And it is an eye-opening experience as well. It gives you different breadth, different way of thinking. I feel the school has the capacity to fill this expectation, but it's also up to the students to understand what are they embarking.
Thanks, Edwin. Any questions from anybody? We're welcome to ask questions. My colleague Eva is here as well. She's been in contact with most of you. She is the heart of the support part of the school. There are also some of our other colleagues online, so we are quite willing to answer any kind of question that you may have. Gladly also invite you to take individual connections with us or communication with us. We can also share some more individual questions on offline as well, but for now you are welcome to answer any question you may like. This is not the way it normally goes in a DBA class, I may tell you. There would certainly be a whole lot more questions and comments, but
may I ask you a question?
Of course, please.
My name is Ruslan. I'm from Bulgaria. So I'm wondering how often I have to be in Slovenia, for example, if I start 2023, what is the schedule for the next year, for example? So
yes.
Yes, how busy?
Yeah, that's a good question. Actually, I should have probably explained that a little bit more when I explained the various modules. Module or being in class normally takes about a week. Sometimes it's 4 days, but it is a week. And it's probably good for you just to set out that week, because even if it is a day or so shorter than a week, it was very helpful for you to take that week for the module work and the reading work as well. And there are 4 per year. You come to Bled 4 times per year for that week. And that's for the first 6 modules. So the first year and a half, it is 4 times each. And then in the second semester of the second year, there are 2 compulsory research seminars that are normally shorter. They are only for 2 or 3 days, and then it is required of you to come to them as well. So over the 2-year period, you come to Bled 6 times, and then the research seminar, you can also come at that period, but sometimes that is not necessarily in person. Now, during the past 2 years with COVID, we and also not that it was necessary to experiment, but we were obliged to do that online as well. Now, it is not the same, especially in the level of DBA kinds of discussions. Online is very difficult to do. However, we also realize that sometimes life happens and sometimes things occur and that it is just impossible. And in that sense, we will also be kind of like more lenient than what we had been in the past to say that it is compulsory face-to-face. But it's very close to compulsory face-to-face, but only in really exceptional opportunities we will allow that as well. They are small classes. You are kind of like 4, 5, 6 per class, and therefore the way to contribute is very much in that interaction, that debate, that helping one another with a research proposal, with a thesis, with the different views. That's the essence of it, and therefore it's much better face-to-face. The first in 2022, 22nd of May, then there is this next new intake of people that we start with qualitative research. Professor Dr. Albrecht Fritsche, who takes that. He's been in the program for quite a while. That'll be face-to-face in Bled. And then in September is the next intake, but it's also the next module for people in their first year. That will be leadership. That'll be with me. That's in the first week of September. And then in the end of November, we have strategy. And then in January, research methodology from a quantitative point of view. And then the cycle starts again. Those of you that then will be in the second year will then have 2 electives in the first semester. But I mean, for those of you who plan to start at any other stage, the next starting time is May. There's a starting time in September and another starting time then in January.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Ruslan. If there are no questions, maybe Eva, something from your side or some of my other colleagues? Well,
I'm here to help with any questions if there are any. Otherwise, I would invite you all to get in touch with us also individually. We would be happy to schedule individual Zooms if you would like to maybe discuss with Rikus. Usually the common question is what are the topics, and Rikus is here to narrow or to broaden or to lead you in that thinking as well. So we are aware it's an important decision that you make, so don't be afraid, to get in touch with us as many times as you need, to be confident that you are making a right decision. So we're here for you.
Yes, indeed. I can only also just reiterate that. Thank you very much for your time, especially knowing that it is so difficult to find time these days, and for your participation. And we look forward to be in contact with you and see you on the program. Thank you very much, and bye-bye.